for tuning in to Shop Girls on My Talk 1071. I'm Allison Kaplan here today with my mom, Harmony. Well, one of the big trends in jewelry right now is getting rid of the stuff you don't wear. More and more women are finally cleaning out the closet or the drawer or wherever you keep it and selling the pieces that they don't wear. Here to tell us about the trend and an event going on today where you can sell yours is Craig Miller. Hi, Craig.
Hi, how are you?
Good. So you're at Bergstrom today.
I am. We're on the north end, St. Louis Park, 1695 West End Boulevard.
Right. You're over at West End. Right. 100 and 394 in St. Louis Park. Really easy to find. Bergstrom Jewelers. And tell us what's going on. This is called the CIRCA Jewelry Buying Event.
Exactly. CIRCA is a company. We're a company out of New York City. We're the largest global buying firm of diamonds, jewelry, and watches from the public. And we provide full-service estate buying for jewelers in various markets that are not in the estate buying business. Most jewelers concentrate on selling new and fine jewelry. So we provide full service. We come out twice a year here to Bergstrom's. We've had a relationship with them for 2 or 3 years. And over the last day and a half, we've had appointments and people walking in selling jewelry that they no longer wear, and we're writing checks on the spot.
So is this high-end jewelry that they're bringing in?
Well, it's a little bit of everything. You know, we're capable of writing a check for $20 or $2 million.
Ooh, I like the $2 million.
We'll take a look at everything, and people are bringing in everything. There's a lot of things that people have that they've inherited that they don't know exactly what it is, and we can quickly go through all of their items and tell them what has value, what doesn't have value, and make them an offer for the items that do have value. We've done quite well here. It's a very important jewelry market. It's a big city, and there's a lot of families here that have had jewelry passed down from generation to generation, and they're just things they're not wearing. So it makes sense to bring them in if they're just sitting in a drawer or they're not being worn, or you're paying insurance on something you're not wearing, because that's called cost of ownership, and it becomes a liability if it's not insured. So that's
a good point. I bet also it's a lot of divorce jewelry.
Well, I was going to mention that we do karmic cleansings on a regular basis.
Karmic cleansing, I love it.
Yeah, and a lot of ex-boyfriend jewelry and ex-husband jewelry, and we've bought quite a few engagement rings over the last
Oh, I hadn't
So
thought
what
about
can
that.
you expect? I mean, all right, so let's say that I have something, I know that it's real gold or it's a real stone. I mean, what percentage am I going to get if I sell it?
Well, it depends on when it was purchased. You know, diamonds have gone up in value over the last 7 years, since 7 to 9 years from 2003 on. There was a lot of demand, so diamonds have gone up. If you've bought previous to 2003 and it's a larger stone, you could get very close to what you paid for it, if it's an important stone, of course. With gold is at a historic high right now, where it's over $1,700 an ounce. The previous high 30 years ago was $880. So if you have old gold chains, rope chains you're not wearing from the 80s, it's the time is now to sell, because people are hedging gold. They're not buying gold.
And let's just say, Craig, if you are still wearing that rope gold chain, maybe you should consider going to see Craig today at Bergstrom Jewelers.
But Craig, if you had just a thin gold chain, one of those like little choker ones that were popular some years ago,
we would buy that as well.
And what would you get for something like that?
Well, it all depends. It all depends on the weight, if it's 14 karat or 18 karat.
Okay.
With basic chains like that, the intrinsic value drives the price. And what that means is the content of the gold. But you might have something that you've inherited from the 60s or 70s that has a French hallmark that might just be gold, but it's worth more than the gold value, because it's a groovy bracelet. It's something that we would find a buyer for. So all gold isn't just for scrap value. If it's signed Tiffany and Company, Van Cleef and Arpels, Cartier, it's worth quite a bit more than just the gold value.
I see.
So, and I was going to ask, I mean, are there certain things that are really in demand right now that you get excited if you see these kinds of pieces?
Well, you know what's in demand is obviously diamonds are always in demand, and we're the largest buyer of diamonds in the marketplace. If you think there's 500 million polished carats of diamonds in the public's hands.
Ooh, I want them all.
Exactly, and what we like to consider ourselves as recyclers, we're sustainability. We're recycling jewelry and diamonds. So diamonds are always in demand, but it's always fun when I'm on the road with a crew when we find something. One time we were in a market and I bought a Cartier Art Deco jabot that was an original 1930s piece of jewelry that was made by Cartier in their workshops. And that's an exciting piece to buy on the road because of its rarity and its beauty. And Cartier sets the benchmark as far as Art Deco, the Art Deco movement is concerned.
Sometimes when you tell people, if you get too excited, does that scare them off from selling? Like when they realize,
Yeah,
wow,
I was thinking
this is
that.
actually
Yeah.
valuable.
That's funny. You know, I have scared people off by making too high of an offer. And there was a gentleman who came in once with a Rolex Submariner that he had bought in the 90s, and I had offered him more than he had paid for it. And so he brought in 4 watches, and he was definitely going to sell all 4 watches. And then he looked at his wife and he says, can I keep the Rolex? So he kept the Rolex, so I did scare him a little bit.
That's fine. Generally, is there kind of a standard percentage of, are you paying 50% of the value or what is it?
Well, it's not formulaic, and when you say of the value is what somebody would write a check for something. There might be a retail value or an appraised value, but that's always for a high retail replacement. And it's not formulaic. I can't say that I pay 50% of that because the appraiser might not have appraised it properly. They could have appraised it too high. You could have had an appraisal from 1980 that I would pay the full appraisal price for. Or it might be such a high appraisal that I pay 10% of the appraised price. But you have to keep in mind that the appraised value, again, is for retail replacement and has no bearing whatsoever on the secondary market. They're two distinct, different markets.
Okay. Well, it's worth finding out, right? You're there. You're at Bergstrom Jewelers today?
We're here today, but we always provide this service. So if you want to come in after we're here, you can drop your things off. They'll ship it to us via FedEx to our office in New York City. We pay for the shipping and insurance. We call you with the offer to purchase. And if you accept, we send a check out right away. It's about a 3 to 5 day process. But we're here till the end of the day. What Bergstrom is also doing is they're offering 20% on top of what we're offering. So if I offer you $10,000, you can get a store credit for $12,000 towards the purchase of something else.
Craig, I'll take it. Okay, no debate needed. I'll take it. I'll take the 10. Okay. I know you were just quoted recently in the Wall Street Journal on this trend. Is it just because gold is so expensive right now? Is that what's prompting so many people to sell old jewelry?
That probably started. Our company is 12 years old, and we've always been positioned as a luxury buying firm. And the reason is because before we existed, there was only 2 options. You could either go to Christie's or Sotheby's, which really wasn't going to take in certain items, or you could go to a pawn shop. And so there was a stigma involved in selling jewelry. And what we're trying to do is make it okay for you to sell your jewelry. And we have great offices. We have 13 offices globally where we buy from the public. And we work with 50 jewelers plus in the United States, all high-end jewelers, to buy as well. So we're trying to make it okay for you to sell. It's not a stigma. It's not stigmatized anymore.
Right. Very cool. Well, if you have pieces that you're not wearing, you might as well make some money. Craig is at Bergstrom Jewelers today in St. Louis Park, and of course the service is available all the time. Craig, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
Take care.